Today we've got a psychologist joining us. Obviously, our practice with the name called mindful eating, we always take into account that food and emotions are very often part of the same picture. And that's why I wanted Rachel Tillier, a psychologist, to join us and to chat to us today. So Rachel, thanks so much. You are obviously still practicing as you are part of essential services. What have you seen that people are struggling with the most in terms of mental health?
Thanks, Philip. Thanks for having me. I think, one of the major themes that people are obviously dealing with at the moment is, the economic and, financial stresses of all of this, which people are really uncertain about the future. How are they going to take the next step? Nobody quite knows what to expect. So I think, what's really important about this is, and look, we're all a bit prone to it at a time like this, but to try and avoid catastrophic thinking, because when we're feeling so overwhelmed, we will start to think that way. But what is important is that this is temporary. We are resilient, we will endure, and we've just got to find ways of getting over this hump. We've almost got to try and see it as, a challenge and an obstacle. The second thing is, and I think a lot of people were already struggling with, family and relationship stress before the lockdown, very complex, very, difficult situations that obviously people are now trapped in. They can't move forward. They can't make the decisions to move forward. So I think that's also, I don't think lockdown is necessarily the cause, but, more the catalyst for, people in these situations. It sort of just exacerbates what's already there. The other big theme is, of course, loss. Obviously there's the loss of income, but there's also more complex losses like, the loss of goals, the loss of dreams, the loss of everyday freedoms, the ability to take your dog for a walk. People have lost their the activities and the interests they used to have and enjoy. And a lot of people used to use those for self-regulation, outlets, sports, things that they used to enjoy. And also, the loss of social contact, that support network that we used to have so easily.
Wow. Okay. That's such a nice way of putting it. So simply put. Then I also want to know, what are you advising some of your clients in terms of how do you go about taking care of your mental health during this lockdown period?
The one thing is, perhaps trying to create a goal for each day, even if it's a small goal. This doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to put pressure on yourself, but perhaps even, getting through 3 loads of washing is, quite an achievement when you're trying to juggle everything else. It creates a sense of a plan during a time of such uncertainty, and also creates a sense of accomplishment. Once we've achieved that goal for our day, and makes us feel productive and like we're still making progress. So that's one thing, we can try. The other thing is, trying to maintain a healthy routine and structure for your day. I sort of like to think of it as dividing your day into almost 4 quadrants. The one could be like, the physical quadrant. So the relationship that you have with your body, and we can talk about that a bit more. Then the next quadrant I would describe as maybe the intellectual quadrant or the mental quadrant. And then, the other one would be the emotional or spiritual side of yourself. And in that 4th one, I would like to call the sort of fun and creative quadrant, because I do think at a time like this, it's important to have that as well. So, on the physical level, I think it's really important for us to try and maintain a relationship with our bodies. Doing something physical each day, it doesn't have to be, extreme exercise or running on your balcony for 6 hours, like some people have done. Can, just doing some stretching, some yoga, whatever kind of form of physical sort of relationship that you enjoy with your body.
I love that.
The second is the intellectual, sort of quadrant. I think, obviously if you're working from home, that's great. You're getting quite a lot of intellectual stimulation. But for those that are unable to work at home, I think it's really important to try and keep your brain active, because we're not getting enough stimulation in our home environment as what we normally would in our normal lives. I've even found that itself can trigger a bit of a down mood because you're actually not feeding your brain enough intellectually. It's not getting enough stimulation. So, things like TED Talks, documentaries, learning a language, there's a lot of lovely apps, short courses, things that just to enrich you intellectually. Animals in a zoo, the zookeepers will try and keep the animals stimulated through different activities. It's exactly the same for us. We are kind of in a zoo sort of situation right now.
Okay, I see. And can I ask, Rachel, if somebody is working from home, would you count that as their intellectual stimulation? So it's not like they have to work and still like do all of this other stuff.
Absolutely. No, I mean, if you're working, that box is ticked. And so then the third quadrant would be, your relationship with yourself emotionally or spiritually. So, for some people who are religious, engaging with that space, and for those that are not religious or spiritual, keeping that relationship with yourself, checking in, having dialogue with yourself emotionally. How are you feeling? What do you need? Journaling, meditation, prayer, whatever works for you.
And that's obviously where you guys would come in, because I think that's the quadrant my feeling is that's the quadrant that people are maybe the most afraid of or the one that they neglect the most. And that's the message I'm trying to get out today, is to say, like, don't ignore that and go to someone like a psychologist to help you explore that part of it.
Absolutely. I think it is the one we neglect the most because it's the one which is almost more negotiable than the others. And so then I think, the fourth quadrant, I think, is, the fun and creative side of ourselves. I think it's really important to try to, especially with your children and with yourself, to create that sense of fun and laughter and, especially when we're feeling so stressed and overwhelmed. Just that lightness and that laughter it's just important. And it's not always easy to achieve when you're trying to juggle work and childcare and schoolwork. So I'm not saying we should all be a barrel of laughs all the time. I mean, it's absolutely understandable that people take strain.
Yes.
But if you can, trying to create the space for that.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much for all those tips. What I love is that they are doable and they're simple. Like, I love what you said, to just achieve like 3 loads of washing, because that's a doable goal. Like, I can do 3 loads of washing, and if that's the goal I set out to achieve, like you said, that level of accomplishment. Please remember, psychologists, psychiatrists are part of essential services. Rachel herself is seeing people in person, obviously following all the guidelines for COVID, as well as any virtual sessions. If you're not coping, reach out to somebody who will be able to take care of your mental health. And I will be putting a link to Rachel's website. Thanks, Rachel. That was awesome.
You're very welcome.
Hi, guys. As promised, please see Rachel's website here for any of you that are interested in finding out more about seeing a clinical psychologist. Also, what I've done is put together a template where you can fill in a simple goal for the day, as well as a space for filling in each of the 4 quadrants that Rachel mentioned. If any of you would like this template, please privately Facebook message us, email us, or even take a look at our website, and I'll be happy to send it to you. I hope this video helped. Stay safe.